welcome to my YouTube channel, Careers Unboxed. On this channel, I interview Black professionals from around the world. Just so I want to hear their career journeys, what they've been through, what inspired them, what kept them going, why do they do the stuff that they do. And it's my hope as you see these Black professionals from all over the world, you will be inspired as well. So as we say in Swahili, twende, let's go. Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited today. I have Bosibori, Dr. Bosibori, a good friend from university days, and I'm so glad to be connecting with her all the way from Australia. Dr. Bosi, welcome.
Thanks, and thanks for having me, Carrie.
So, and I think your story is one that's inspiring and one that, of course, I am really looking forward to hear more about. So tell me, Bosi, what are you currently doing?
Australia with the Department of Agriculture, Water and the Environment. So I am currently contributing to the Exports Division and trying to negotiate with trading partners to maintain, improve, or develop market access for different agricultural commodities within different parts of the world.
Maybe tell us a little more, like do you have to talk to other fellow governments, which are the countries, and or your co-partners in other agricultural, agricultural institutions in other countries? Maybe tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, we liaise a lot with the posts, the agricultural councillors in other countries to negotiate like market access of commodities with the authorities. You know, we've got the, for example, I negotiate with partners of either the Americas or Europe or Africa. So if it's like one country, for example, Brazil, this is just an arbitrary example. If it's Brazil, then, and we have exporters from Australia who are exporting some agricultural commodities. And if all goes through, that's fine. But sometimes we try and negotiate depending on Brazil's importing country requirements. And we see back here whether our exporters can meet to those requirements and try and negotiate with the Brazilian authorities that if we do this, are you happy with this? If we provide you a certificate with certain attestations, are you happy to have this? Just basically facilitating the trade and making it smooth for the exporter to deliver their commodities in Brazil. That's just an example, one example.
And I know you've gone on to study further until your PhD. And I'm just wondering, like, what did you study over the years, and how did your studies kind of aid you for what you're currently doing or your past career? What can I say, positions? Because I know you worked with another government as a scientist and stuff like that. I want to know how your academic background prepared you for those positions.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good question, Carrie. When I was doing, high school in Kenya, I found myself being inclined and having the interest in biology. But I had no idea where biology is going to take me. But I pursued that, finished, and joined uni where we met. And I was doing some nutrition and biology minor. So I did graduate with nutrition, but because I was more aligned with biology, I got this job with the Kenyan government in agriculture. And then I pursued my degree in agricultural biotechnology. Now, for me, having to be able to, apply my academic knowledge to my work right now, I did a lot of practical work because I'm someone who learns by doing. Theory is a little bit tricky for me. So I have to do it in order to, you know.
Understand.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So we had different units, and I found that in one unit, let's say plant tissue culture, I did a small project on that just so that I could complete the cycle, the loop of this is what you're taught in class, this is what the theory says, now let's see it. And the beauty about that, I just used to write what I see, Carrie. If I saw that the leaves are not turning green anymore, they're becoming brown, that's what I record. By doing it practically, I was able to understand more concepts better.
Okay, that's interesting. And you found a course which was able to integrate kind of like your learning style.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
What masters was that, and where did you do your masters?
Oh, I did my masters in agricultural biotechnology. That was in 2003. Was about 3 to 5 years, because in between I had child caring duties, and family and all. Then when I finished that, I decided to enroll for another one with the UK in bioinformatics, because there was a lot of things at the time. Bioinformatics was just a new area that was coming into science. And I later realized that I applied some of the bioinformatics skills when I was doing my doctorate. So yeah, that was 2003, enrolled for that, graduated by 2008. And then by the time I was doing the online bioinformatics course, I had finished it by 2011.
Okay, so this bioinformatics was just an addition to your master's. Was that your PhD? Yeah. Just an addition to your master's?
It's another master's course with Manchester.
I see. University of Manchester?
Yes, University of Manchester.
Okay, yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So you saw an emerging field, and you thought this is something that was going to kind of push you in the right direction.
Yes, that's right.
What sparked the interest for you to pursue your field? I mean, from bio to agriculture.
Yeah, but when I was growing up, I gained an interest in agriculture when I was about standard 5 back in Kenya, because I grew up seeing my dad, who's a bacteriologist, who's also an agriculture scientist. I used to see him collect the sick samples, sick tomato fruits and sick potatoes, and I'm like, oh, they're oozing. I don't know why he's picking them and putting them on a paper in a kitchen bench, only to realize he was just sampling. Occasionally, I used to visit his lab, in the pathology lab, and after school, I used to visit there, and I would see him dissecting them and looking under the microscope and writing notes. And I'm like, oh, but these are the fruits I saw yesterday in the kitchen that had so much froth. What is he doing? So that I was really fascinated. So inspired by his work, I trained and pursued a career in agriculture. And of course, my mom, being a teacher, she always used to encourage me. She encouraged me to excel in the subject that I loved and that I did well. But having said that, for a while now, I have been following the issues that are grappling with the continent, food security, etc. And my desire was to just contribute to this global challenge. And so I decided to begin this by targeting, the smallholder farmers, the issues that smallholder farmers have, because food security begins actually at household level.
How did that inform the work that you did next, in terms professionally?
Yeah, great.
After the informatics, the bioinformatics. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of the farmers in Kenya rely a lot on rain-fed agriculture. That means you plant a seed, if it doesn't rain, that's it. Or it doesn't, it doesn't hold a crop. So, or other challenges were like, you've got this nice varieties of sweet potato, for example, but unfortunately, there's these pests and diseases, or there is lack of enough, adequate planting material. So because of pests and diseases and such like things, the yield is very low, and that has an impact on providing food security all year round. So it's not only on sweet potato, it can be on any crop. And some crops, some pests that we know can have very many different hosts. So I just selected on one so that I could have a look at it quite closely And one of them I was able to establish is that there was no enough planting material on sweet potato and other crops.
I see. So you did like a deep dive in terms of your research.
Yeah.
So you were working very closely with farmers and noticed some of these like typical challenges they were facing and trying to figure out how to really resolve some of these things with your scientific background.
Yes, that's right.
And so what did you do? Now I'm curious. So you're saying about the sweet potato. Now you got us thinking. And tell us about that sweet potato and what you did.
So we realized, okay, the farmers are saying, because we had to work closely with them because we don't know their problems. So we had to ask them, what are the issues? What are you going through? What are your challenges? Are you getting the varieties you want? We understand you've got your favorable varieties. What would you like to do? And some of them would just say, oh, look, because of pests and diseases, usually our tradition is, if I see my neighbor has a very good crop, I just ask for the vine across the fence. But in so doing, they are spreading, diseases. So a little bit of farm biosecurity there. So we decided, okay, if this is the way, I think we think that the way forward is to have a source of clean planting material. By clean here, I mean disease-free. So we established a very rapid way of propagating the material in the lab, basically just cleaning the material and propagating real quick, rapidly, and in mass. And then from there, we were able to distribute this to the farmers and to carry on and encourage them that you don't necessarily need to borrow material from your neighbors, but there is a source of clean planting material within the Curry Center.
What made you feel like you needed to now do your PhD? What were you feeling was a constraint that made you feel like, okay, I've done the biotech, I've done this, but I feel I need to go to the next level?
A PhD will give me an opportunity to actually write a proposal and have a project and manage a project. Because I was also looking at other skills other than learning new techniques. I was also looking for skills like writing, more of writing, more of project management, and getting to learn something which I had not done before. So that really intrigued me.
Okay.
Then I went forward. So I went forward to pursue a PhD.
Okay, and which university did you do the PhD and how did that now finally, did you find that the PhD gave you what you were looking for in terms of now the new career challenge that you were looking for?
Yeah. I was enrolled with the Queensland University of Technology. So that was up in Brisbane, in Queensland area. But I realized the expert of this work was based in a different city. So I was enrolled in Brisbane, but the expert was in Canberra because he was leading a project here. And so I went in there and I remember, after doing the work, I remember telling him, you know what, TJ, all this time, I thought I knew how to write. I actually didn't. So after this, I was able to write better and communicate better. The other thing I remember told him was, you know what? When we collaborate with other people, back then in Kenya, when we collaborate with other people and they say, oh, look at this maize variety, it looks really good because it's been improved against another one. Because I'm a practical person, I just used to see the photos, but I wanted to have done it myself. And when I finished this research study and I saw the results, I was like, actually, I now believe what partners used to tell us. Because it was very rewarding and very fulfilling because I was able to carry a project to completion and actually see my results.
You worked in Kenya and then moved to Australia. And I'm just trying to imagine what that might have meant in terms of as a professional. How did you find the transition and what skills did you find helped you make the transition to a new culture, a new space? Yeah, how was that transition, and what skill sets did you see helped you now to assimilate, professionally and so, and even of course culturally?
Yeah, that's right. Well, Carrie, this is a very fantastic question because to be honest, like during my career, I've been able to partner with people from different parts of the world. Soft skill I learned was, in the first instance, is first embrace the culture. Keep quiet and use more of the eyes and ears and less of the
more observation and less
more observation. You know the way they say 2 years and 1 month. More of the more of the observation, looking around, and trying to understand and to see how things are. But at the same time, when in doubt, ask. Okay, so for me that worked, and this part of the world, people have been extremely helpful and quite courteous. So that really helped me to sort of have a seamless transition into integrating into this society. So, taking the time to understand the people you work with, and also asking, do you mean this? When someone says this, do you actually mean this? Or what are you trying to say? Do you mean this, or just so that there is no misinterpretation?
Did you find that helped you in the office environment? Those are the typical things that you saw. Just asking when you don't understand, asking for clarification, observe.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, observe, ask for clarification, and say, is this correct? Is this how I'm meant to do it? Following through. And the good thing here is when you get a job, they've got a fantastic buddy system, right? A buddy system. So someone who's there, who takes you through, who helps you to assimilate, who helps you to integrate, and the orientation. I mean, it's just so beautiful. So that really, it's amazing actually. So that really worked for me, and of course, with my personality, quite outgoing, very outgoing, reaching out, and literally just I network heavily. So, because for me, it doesn't cost much. So I just look out for opportunities to network within the communities and amongst, different partners. So like if there's something over the weekend, what's there? Where can I go out? What community group can I join? What networks can I join to be able to learn something, answer some of the questions that you may have on arrival, just to help you, settle in.
Nice.
And feel at home.
Okay.
Feel at home away from home.
As home as possible.
As home as possible.
And how have you stayed sharp and kind of like on top of your game? How do you continue to distinguish yourself either at your place of work currently or in the past? What are some of the things that you have found help you to stay at the top of your game?
First of all, I ask myself, what am I contributing to the bigger picture? What is it? What must I do, to contribute? What do I have to contribute to the bigger picture? That's one. Just a justification, Then I decided not to allow distractions distract me. So like focusing on what I believe and focusing on what I have to strive to do. And I like to see progress. For me, I think that's the number one thing. Well, you're doing this year. Why? And after you do it, what's the end game? What are you going to achieve? Have you made progress? Have you learned anything?
Okay.
So, and I always question, all right, if this is the bigger picture, what do I have to achieve ABCD in this, in this environment? Yeah. And I also say, what skills and knowledge do I have to bring to the table? So these sort of questions really propel me to contribute accordingly. And a good example is like, for example, giving back to the community, for instance. When like when I finished my studies, and I actively searched for opportunities to give back to the society. So because I'm an alumni of the Australia Award Scholarship, so I actively searched for ways of contributing to using my skills and knowledge that I had acquired from Australia to be able to contribute either internationally or nationally or within the region.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's neat. Like, could you give us an example, like some of the maybe whether it's ventures or stuff that you have found yourself being able to do, and you're like, oh, this is exactly kind of what I wanted to do in terms of giving back. Have you been involved with in Kenya?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, maybe some examples would help.
A few examples was like I put up my hand to co-convene with a colleague of mine to co-convene the Australia Awards Alumni Network in Kenya, where we just come together and deliberate and see what is it that we can do to give back to the society. And so far, we've been contributing our time and some funds sometimes, in collaboration with other organizations, with the county governments or with the Australian High Commission in Kenya, to improve the livelihoods of women and girls and to empower them, like in the marginalized areas. So that's one example. The other thing is mentorship, because like mentoring students who are coming to Australia. So we provide our time and just sharing, just giving some shared experiences of what we went through. If you're going with a family, or if you've got a child this age, just the tips and tactics and strategies of how to make it here, so that you can have a softer landing.
Is there any career advice that you're glad you never took?
That's a tricky one, but I can only remember from examples from different people which really have ingrained in me. For example, I refused to listen to a few advices or remarks or comments. I just pressed delete. Like, I refuse to listen to comments along the lines of don't study too hard, you can never get A's. Like, what? What? I know. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, okay. So later on, I'm finding myself scoring distinctions, or change your course, you can never be a doctor, something of the sort. Or don't enroll for further studies, oh, you can't make it, you've got family commitments, you're a mother, you're a wife, you're an employee, you want to be a student, no, you can't make it. And I just needed to know how to go about it and calculate my work-life balance and see how it works for me. Or someone would just discourage you and say, oh, we have so much work and money in this field, but sorry, we cannot give you this consultancy because you're not in our field. Some advices. And what that taught me was you can diversify. I mean, there is room for growth, and there is room for tapping into new areas. I mean, what's wrong with that? And so some of these things, you just need to have a look at them and weigh them. If you're passionate about something and you're keen to learn and keen to diversify your skill set, go for it. So those are some of the comments I never used to listen to.
Okay, and we're so glad you did not, because look at that career. And what advice would you have for maybe a young professional or a teen who, and you've given a lot of advice, but I'm just wondering if you have any additional advice to a teen who is thinking of what career options or trying to navigate that space of who they're going to become, or a young professional.
I know. And sometimes I see, this is why we've got, when we go to school, we have so many subjects, right? And it gives us an array of different disciplines where we feel we can fit into. For example, I was very inclined to biology because career history I would always say, tap into where you feel you're comfortable and you're interested and you feel like you are leaning towards. Yeah. So those are sort of like the low-lying fruits, right? So tap into that, because the fact that you've got the interest, then it means you're actually gonna be very good in that. Yeah. So follow your passion and determine what you can contribute to the bigger picture. Get to know what's the world grappling with, what's the problem, global problem at the moment, and how can you contribute to that. Do more reading, a few things. The other thing is put up your hand. It doesn't cost to try. Just by putting up your hand, I think I want to do this, I want to do this. Try, go for it, because how else are you going to learn? Mm-hmm. So this is your time, young people, the youth, this is your time, because when the days are gone, they are gone. So this is the time to explore. This is the time to build your network, the time to build your profession. This is investing in your time to get to learn, right? And tapping into you won't know everything. So tap into different people. If you're working in a team, look at, this guy is good in this girl, she's good in this is good, these people are good in this, I'm good in this. Can we come together and be able to to do something, because I'll just quote my daughter Abigail, teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah. So tap into different expertise amongst yourself. If someone says is good in doing this and I'm good in this, come together. So youth, don't try and diversify. Don't pigeonhole yourselves. Kari, I know you are a maths major, right? So
yeah.
I'll just use you as an example, please, if you don't mind. So don't say, oh, because I'm a maths major, I am only going to do algebra in my life just because I was a maths major. No, try and venture into calculus within that space, but into calculus, and not only algebra, and see how the two can work together to achieve, something else. So in other words, just diversify your skill set, youth. Yeah.
Wow, Bosi, that's fantastic. I love the way you've captioned that, and I think you've given us a very nice overall. Yeah, even an adult anybody can take that advice and run with it.
Yeah.
Anything else
okay.
you'd like to add? Anything else you'd like to add, or a question that you felt I didn't ask you that you'd like to throw in there?
Just to say, learning from mistakes, and don't be afraid to fail. Yeah, sometimes it's lesson learned. Some principles of project management we learn. We learn when we've been there, so we learn. So we have to take home some lessons. Something also is try and document what you do to the youth. For example, whatever you do, try and document, try and plan. There's always a first time of doing things. So the more you get yourself into doing that, the better.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Bosi.